Alrighty, folks. If you're watching live, we are sitting here at TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. We're at the monthly guide dinner. I got David Ryan, Hunter Bowling, Jeff Faulkenberry, and Richard Bowling. And we're getting ready to do our monthly guide dinner podcast. We were sitting here at Nini's, so the first thing I just wanted to say was thank you to David and Gina Townsend. They are sponsoring our guide dinners and have the restaurant here, Nini's Italian and Catering, here in Warsaw, Missouri. It was fantastic.
Great.
Had a great dinner. So they're right here. They do a ton of catering too. That's a big part of their business, so you can reach out to them. You'll find their information on our website at TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. So be sure to show them your support, especially if you're coming up from the Lake of the Ozarks area, coming up to Fish Truman. It's right on your way, right here in Warsaw. So we appreciate that tremendously, and we appreciate them. So without further ado, we wanted to get started into our monthly dinner here. So who we have? We have about as good a group of guys as you could possibly want for Truman Lake, starting with David Ryan of Dave's Custom Baits. He's an accomplished tournament angler, and I've gotten to see firsthand how his balsa baits have produced. They got a new Mahoney HQ Lake record off of it last night.
That's
so,
right.
Pretty awesome. We got Hunter Bowling, the young up-and-comer, and he's been fishing tournaments for 6-7 years, having tremendous success fishing both crappie and bass tournaments, and he helps his dad Richard out with some guide trips as well. And then you have the big dog right here, Jeff Faulkenberry of Endless Season Guide Service on Truman Lake. If you've seen anything about Truman Lake, I guarantee you've seen Jeff Faulkenberry. He does crappie trips, catfish trips, white bass, but he also does waterfowl in the fall. And you're probably going to see us talk a little hunting at times on this old monthly dinner podcast. And then last but certainly not least, Richard Bowling, who's been guiding since the early 90s.
Yep.
And
he's like the godfather.
Yeah, you feel like it. Absolutely. So Richard Bowling's Guide Service. If you've been following TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com, you saw that I got to shoot some videos with him. He was kind enough to take me out, and we just freaking slammed crappie using Garmin Live Scope, and super excited to be chatting to these guys tonight. We're going to be probably doing about a 45-minute to an hour-long video, just chatting all things Truman. We're going to recap just kind of how the fishing was in August, and then move into what to expect here for the month of September and further along into the fall, and then just a few other various topics, just the lake level, how that rises and falls, how you adjust your fishing tactics, some of the safety factors that come along with these fluctuating lake levels. So a lot of really cool topics that are going to be available exclusively at TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. So be sure to check out the website, become a member, because all of this will be available to members there, TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. So thanks guys for watching, and to catch up for more on this, visit the Facebook page, head on over to the website. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Okay, so we're done with the live video, so wanted to just get right into it, and let's talk a little fishing. Hunter, I want to start with you, because you and I've been wanting to catch up with you on some of your tournament angling here the last couple weeks. You were in the Joe Bass tournament today, which had 103 boats. So wanted to just see what your experience was, what your plan of attack was, and kind of what you heard other guys were doing, and kind of go from there. So why don't you fill us in a little bit?
Today we fished the Osage arm of the lake. We fished with square-billed crankbait, actually Dave's here.
Yep.
We fished secondary points and main lake points, just anywhere we could see one, have one boat on it, and just whine and whine all day long. That's all we could do.
And they did get a check on that crankbait.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely, I love to hear that. I love to hear that. That's awesome.
So you guys had 5 fish.
Yep.
What weight did you guys come in
We
at?
had 1636, I think.
And you guys were, was it 10th or
20th?
20th? Okay.
Yep. We probably boated over 40 bass today.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was all primarily on.
Every one of them.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
It was fun.
So I think the winning weight was what, 20.7 something?
Yep.
So think about that. 20.7 something was first.
Mm-hmm.
What was your weight? 16?
Yeah. 36.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you finished 20th?
Yep.
Not much.
Look at all that.
Yeah.
That is such a small margin for each place, and Wow, is Truman Lake thriving or
Yeah.
what?
It's coming back.
One big fish away.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one kicker. Yeah, I mean, a
Absolutely.
big kicker. With
Yeah.
it.
We just couldn't find him.
Yeah. So
You had a 5-pounder though,
We
right?
did have 5 pounders, yeah.
Hmm.
so here over the last couple weeks, that's been the same pattern that you've been.
For us, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you also competed in the crappie tournament
Yeah.
last weekend.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
We ended up in 8th place in that one. We fished way up the Grand Arm and 6 foot or less. We fished a lot of our fish 3 foot of water. Fished a little hair jig, 1/32 to 1/16 ounce hair jig with a 1/4 ounce weight above it.
Okay. Fantastic. Now you had 7 fish for 11 something,
65, I think.
which in years past, that's
That's
With
dominant.
1
yeah, yeah. You know, do you recall what the top weight was?
It was right at 13 pounds, 12.90.
Wow.
12.90.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
For
impressive.
right now, that's a pretty good weight.
Is that on 7?
Seven
Is that
crappie.
7 crappie.
And
Wow.
10 years ago, it took 9.50 to win.
Well, yeah.
That's what it took.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Lake's fishing stronger, numbers are great, and of course electronics.
Yeah, that plays
Yep.
the biggest part.
So you're a Garmin LiveScope guy?
Gotta be now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta be.
So, Richard, when you and I were out the other day, we were talking about just some of the things with fish behavior that you've never been able to see before with Garmin LiveScope. I was hoping maybe you could elaborate on that with just the way maybe fish chase it down a little more than we previously thought. Chase
Even
it
up.
up.
They
And-
chase it up, they chase it down, and I think you got to see as well. You know, we pitched them fish, you know, some of them 15 foot out, 20 feet out, they would chase that bait down.
Mm.
Before, I never thought that a fish would, or a crappie would chase the bait down. Now, then you pitch to a fish, if you drop it too quick, they're going down with it, if they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, I guess, is the open water fish, and they're not all like, you know, we all spider rig. You catch your first fish at 10 foot, so you set all your spider rigging poles at 10 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Covering ground, you always got limits. But now that when you're on these flats like we are right now, there might be a fish at 2 foot, the next one at 10 foot.
Mhm.
So they're not all the same depths. So I guess it showed me that different depths, cover water, there's a lot of fish in open water that
Mhm.
never thought it'd be like that. And so,
So does that mean that on those flats, that once you find a big one, all the big ones aren't in that same depth range?
no.
They're,
Absolutely not.
okay,
And you might catch a great old big, you know, 1.5 pound fish
Right.
for Truman,
right?
2 foot on the surface, and go 30 yards, and then a great big one stuck beside a tree 10 foot deep, same size
Okay,
fish.
okay.
They're not doing the same thing. I mean,
That's
they're-
interesting. I mean, for me, it's like for a bass guy, you know, once you get locked in on something, okay,
pattern.
this is the pattern.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing. You know, you try to reproduce that all day, but that's, you know, that all of a sudden makes me go, okay, are bass the same?
I guarantee
Yeah,
the bass
I
are the
guarantee
same.
it's-
Are the-
yeah.
So,
As electronics evolve, you're going to see the same thing. People are going to notice the same thing in bass because, like you said, you establish a pattern and then you fish that pattern all day. Well, those fish you caught just happened to be on that pattern, but there was a lot of other fish
I was
that
gonna
maybe
say,
weren't on
yeah,
that pattern.
that
Might
were,
feel a
that
little
were on that
something
same
different.
flat,
Yeah.
that were in a different depth zone.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know, and by you getting locked in on that one zone,
Oh yeah.
you're fishing
You're
over
doing the
the
same
others.
thing the whole
Right,
day.
right.
Me and Jeff, you know, we've spider rigged for years. You know, him and I, years ago, him, his dad and myself, we went in, we found a fish at, I think, 14 foot. Jeff sat back the boat, me and his dad was swinging around to him.
They wouldn't even look at me.
No,
I just unhook a fish, drop it in a live well. I'm in the back of his Ranger. I just drop it in a live well, hook a minnow on. They just set it on their shoulder like this. They wouldn't even turn around and look at me.
but what I'm saying is, we set them all at 14 feet.
Right.
How many fish did we leave up here?
Well,
How many
yeah.
did we leave down
Yeah,
there? A bunch
100%.
of them, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the spider rigging's coming down, winding down, the live scoping's coming to the,
It's just
Yeah.
going up, up, up.
Mine's a little different. I use Lowrance Live Sight, which isn't quite as detailed. It's not near as detailed as the Garmin Live Scope yet, but I've used it enough that I've learned it.
Sure.
You know, I've learned to use what I've got, and what it's done is answered questions for me. So like when we would dip trees for years, you know, you drop in a tree 10, 12 foot deep, whatever,
Sure.
and you kind of slowly start raising the rod tip because they wanted that bait moving. You
Right,
get past them, their
right.
eyes are on top of their head, blah, blah, blah. Now we're watching these fish where you're dropping down in the middle of them, they won't hit it, nothing. You start raising it up, one pulls away, boom, you catch that fish. So it answered that question of why, that, you know, because you cut that one away from everybody else and
Right.
then you got him caught, you know.
Awesome.
It just answers a lot of questions behavior wise. And then sometimes you pull up 8 foot of water, there'd be 7 or 8 little fish stuck down here at the bottom. You pull up there and you drop down in them and they go, whoo,
Yep.
gone.
They'll just,
Yeah,
Leave,
Yeah.
don't wanna eat.
yeah, they just gone.
okay.
But even with your Lowrance, you can see what side of the tree they're on.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see how deep they are.
Yeah.
You just can't see how they're reacting to that bait, like what the garment does.
Right,
Okay.
That's
yeah.
what happens. But it's still good. It's
Oh yeah,
great
no,
tool.
it's a big help, yeah.
Do they change colors on the Garmin whenever they, like, versus when you first see them versus them biting it? Do they, they don't? Okay,
Looks
okay.
like it. I got mine, I cranked mine up to 80%
Mhm.
by gain, which it looks like a ball of fire. My
Okay.
sinker that I use is a 3/8 ounce. It looks like a ball of fire falling with a minnow. And when they come hit it, it looks the same color from where they leave to come and get it, same color.
Leaves like a little vapor trail.
It
Yeah,
does,
yeah.
does it? And so
Yeah.
you see them come up and get it.
Yep.
Man, that's awesome.
It's the
stuff.
bubbles off of that fish.
Uh,
Like if you pull up one thing I've noticed, you pull up on a tree, you know, this time of year especially, there'd be a stump under the water and you just see a whole bunch of bubbles. I mean, you know how the trees in the summertime,
Sure.
whatever reason, the lake turning over and you see all those bubbles. And you can look on that and you can actually see that stuff, and that's kind of that vapor looking stuff, is all those bubbles coming up from around that tree.
But getting back to your question, the biggest thing is with the live scope
Yeah.
and crappie behavior is dropping in on a crappie and you, whoever,
Yeah.
and you can watch it eat that bait and it'll carry it 5 feet sometimes, and as a client you'll never know that fish, you never felt it.
Yeah.
How many fish in our lifetimes
A lot.
has ate a bait that you never knew touched your bait?
A bunch.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
a bunch.
Well, I mean, I got to see it firsthand with you, and you're like, Tyler, set the hook. Set the hook, Tyler. Hey, what are you doing? It's not biting. I can see it's there, but it's not. I don't feel anything.
And that's usually when a client reels it in and there's blood running all the way down the side.
Yep. Yep.
Today I had a trip out, and many times on my trip, I would say, you got him on there, and I don't feel nothing. You're not going to feel it. Set the hook,
Mhm.
and you know, pretty soon you can see the fish are running off. And you can even, if you got your gain right and everything on your Garmin, you can see that line, the sweep of that line. You can see it leaving.
Mhm.
So they'll have the hook, or once in a while, if you're not paying good attention, they'll grab. Even with my big sinker, it'll drop faster than what my minnow will.
Mhm.
They'll grab that sinker and run off with it.
Oh.
I even went to the